Hi, everybody, and welcome to Cultivating Conversations on Cultivate with Kate. Today, I have the honor and privilege of interviewing an old friend of mine, Mignon. Mignon is a storyteller and an actress from the South who is on her way to heat up Hollywood. She is currently starring in the second season of BET and Tyler Perry's successful female-led series, Sistas. The show was the top cable series this season with African Americans, with the return delivering close to 3.8 million viewers across all viewing. Mignon stars as the fearless Daniella Danni King and is definitely a fan favorite. Her determination and drive led her to audition without any representation, and after submitting for another audition for another show, she landed this role as they knew that she would be perfect for it. Mignon starred in, wrote, directed, and executive produced a short original film titled 42 Seconds in 2018. The crowdfunded drama screened at the Women in Film and Television Atlanta Short Film Showcase and garnered her the award for Best Director. Expect more critically acclaimed original content in the near future from Mignon. Please help me welcome my dear friend, Mignon! Woo! Hey girl. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
You know what? It's Saturday. I am glad that it's Saturday. I got my second dose of the Pfizer yesterday. So, give me 2 more weeks and I'll be fully sort of immune, to the vaccines. And so I'm feeling all right. And my side effects are not as bad so far, knock on wood. So thank you for joining Cultivate with Kate, first of all.
Thanks for having
us. Yes. And so audience members, just to give you some background, Mignon and I go way back. We went to college together, and then after college, I know that we've spent some quality time together in church settings, and we're in similar friend circles. So I'm very, very thankful that she is here with us today, because I think that her journey, her path, is something that it's a wonderful story with its ups and downs. And so, and then, I'm at my fiance's right now conducting the interview, and he has his puppy Coco, so he may make a special appearance like right now. Hi, Coke. Anyway, so here's Coco, everybody. Hi. Anyway, so to begin our interview, I want to ask you, Mignon. So, every person that I interview is a superhero, in my opinion. And all superheroes have some sort of origin story. And so what is your origin story? And to tie that into my Cultivate with Kate theme, right, of planting yourself, of growth and such, what are your roots? What are your identities? What are your upbringing? Just share with us, what is your story?
I love that. I received that superhero status.
Yes, because you are queen.
Yeah, I love that. My origin story is kind of simple. I am originally from the East Coast, Washington, D.C.
Nice.
Bounced around the South. But my mom is from New Orleans, and my dad's also from DC. So even though DC is technically below the Mason-Dixon line, it's not culturally Southern, at all.
Interesting.
So, yeah, my cousin has to get grits shipped in. My grandmother ships her grits. You know what I mean?
To DC.
Yeah, has to ship grits to her in DC. Yeah.
Grits is one of my favorite foods, by the way. But
yeah,
yes.
Amazing, but they're harder to find in non-Southern, at least culturally Southern places.
Right.
Anyway, so I kind of have a bastardized Southern voice. I've over the past couple of years, I've really started to embrace my Southern roots, and that being a part of storytelling, because Hollywood traditionally, I don't know if people really notice or remember, but there was a time every movie was set in LA. It was just a given.
Yeah.
Every movie was in LA. And so it's really interesting, I think, that I'm finally embracing my Southern roots, because for a very long time I didn't. I hated it. That's kind of why I didn't really develop a Southern accent, is because I was like, I'm from DC. Sorry. I don't, like, I say y'all because y'all is just a useful word. You know what I mean?
So inclusive. It's so inclusive, you know?
Like, I mean, y'all is just like, it's economizing of language. Like, it's great. But now I really do accept that part of my origin story. Like, I consider myself Creole, you know, because my mom, you know, like that side of my family is my grandfather's uncles didn't speak English. They spoke French, you know. So, you know, Creole heritage, Southern bastardized like voice, because we bounced around the South a lot. I would spend a lot of time in DC because my aunt lives there, my dad's mother. So it's this hodgepodge of cultures and just voices that kind of create my origin. And I just really see the divine providence in me being. And because for years I didn't understand, God, why are we in Augusta, Georgia? And you know, and my dream is to be in Hollywood. Like, it was like I couldn't feel farther from it. Literally, like LA and then Georgia are like literal opposite coasts. And then, you know, not a couple years ago, like a decade or so ago, the film industry really started taking off down here, and it's not going anywhere. And so it's just like, wow, God, I really see what you did there. You know, but yeah, that's kind of my origin story. Those are my roots. I'm excited to really add my voice, my Southern voice, to like the pantheon of storytelling. So.
Well, we love you, all of you. Just as John Legend sang, you know, all of me loves all of you, Mignon. And so I just love the fact that you're able. First of all, I forget that you're from DC originally.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously we knew each other from going to college together here in Los Angeles. And, you know, I know that you have some family in Georgia, but I had no idea about your Creole heritage as well. And so it's so fascinating to me that you're able to speak into these roots of yours and to be able to make connections, and how, like, you're right. You know, I see now all the films, if you go through the credits and you see like the Georgia Peach Seal, like, you know, everybody's mothers and fathers, like everybody's just filming in Georgia, you know, like, and so it's so unique how your geographic roots relate and parallel to your current passions. So that's so cool.
Yeah. Like, I get it now. Yeah.
Yeah. So amazing. Now, what were some of those moments for you growing up where you realized, I'm a storyteller? I want to go into the entertainment industry and tell my story, whether it's by acting or producing, writing. Like, when did that journey start for you?
Well, I knew at like 3 years old that I wanted to be an actress without really understanding, you know, Hollywood, obviously, like, in celebrity. Like, I was 3. That's when I'm first, you know, forming your permanent memories and, you know, language. But I just remember watching Muppet Babies. And, you know, you see in the opening credits, Miss Piggy is like, you know, they show her being an actress, and I think she's like on the top of some staircase and like bored. And I was like, oh, I do that. That's what I do. That's me. And like, I just remember being 3 and just kind of recognizing, oh, that's my path. That's what I do. Like, it was like when I came to that understanding, was like as simple and as sure and as it just had the weight and the gravitas of like, that's my name. My name is Mignon. This is what I do. Like, it was just, there was no fantasy around it. It wasn't really mystical. It was just like, okay, got it, you know? So, I mean, I've always wanted, so I just knew before I even knew what it meant, if that makes any sense. And then, but I just remember telling people what I wanted to do. And then because they were older and because they understood celebrity and fame and society and standards of beauty and race and social disparities and like just inequalities, they were like, I don't know that whole actress thing is gonna, work out. I mean, you're a little black girl, you're kind of pudgy, like, you know what I mean? Like,
okay, no, not pudgy, but okay.
well, as a kid, I started developing like baby fat. Like,
Did we all have baby fat though?
I was always kind of like bigger. Like, I remember being in third grade and I was the tallest kid in the class. Like, I've always just been bigger. Like, even when I was smaller, I was still just my frame. I've always taken up space. And so they're just like, I don't know. Like, that might not be it. So I just would still watch a ton of movies and TV, and I never really got away from it. I kind of hid it in my heart, though, and I just remember being like in Augusta and just feeling so bored because the place was just not big enough for me. It felt so small, and I would like on the weekends and in the summer, like I would just watch movie after movie, TV show after TV show. I remember one time my dad was like, "You don't want to be outside with, I don't know, friends?" And like, I was good just watching. That's kind of where I developed my love for indie film. Like, I just was watching so much content, and I remember right before I got my current role, I remember God just kind of saying to me, like, that was your tutelage, that was your schooling. Like, some people went to Juilliard, some people went to Lambda, some people went to, RADA, but when other people were at football games or, on, senior trips to Myrtle Beach, like just or out at the movies making out with their boyfriend, I was watching indie film after indie film, like stuff that people, like, I don't know if you remember how they would have these films. You'd see the ads on TV, but it would say released only in select theaters. Select theaters was not Augusta, Georgia. You know what I mean? It was New York. Maybe Canal Place in New Orleans, you know what I mean? Like art house theaters. But when they finally came to like a cable network, I would watch it then. So I just spent that time soaking all that in, and that was just kind of that first part of the journey for me. And then going to Pepperdine Film School and working in the industry behind the scenes, PA, production coordinator. It never got away from me. I never really got completely away from it. And then I finally got sucked into it, fully immersed, balls to the wall.
Balls to the wall, ladies and gentlemen, and others. Balls to the wall. Wow, that is, thank you. So, confession, I've never visited Georgia. My only claim to visiting Georgia was layover at the Atlanta airport, And so, you kind of touched a little bit about Augusta, Georgia, right? Can you describe more about the vibe of your upbringing? Like you said, for you, like you feel, aspects of boredom and such growing up. But like, what are some like hidden gems in Augusta? And then what are some like things that you're like, okay, yeah, I feel bored. Like this is not my scene. Like what, if you can describe Augusta, Georgia for us, what's that like?
It's a simple town. It's small. I mean, that's where the Masters are. If people who are golf fans, when they hear Augusta, they automatically know what that is, right? So Augusta really, honestly, represented so much dichotomy to me. Like on one hand, it's where the Masters is held. And we all know, stereotypically, rich guys love golf.
Right.
So for once a year, some of the most successful wealthiest people would be in this town, right? And then for the other 358 days a year, it was small and slow. And but it wasn't so slow like dirt road slow. Like Augusta there was a downtown. Like, I don't know I'm doing this, but there was a downtown first. But it's not downtown Atlanta, right? It's not downtown LA. But Augusta has a downtown and a river walk. So it has its charm for sure. It's truly a beautiful place. Like, fall will break your heart. Like, it's just gorgeous. It's actually, I think, is it called the Garden City in Georgia? I don't know. I think it has like that kind of claim to fame because of the Masters. So they try to keep Augusta kind of beautiful. But there are very specific people there that are also trying to keep Augusta small. They don't want what happened to Atlanta. Atlanta was always metropolitan.
Sure.
But influx and the boom that happened with the film industry, people in Augusta do not want that. I think I sense that it's changing because a lot of industry is coming there as far as like tech or engineering. Like a cyber center came there. They went that big, but see, it's not. It doesn't have the same type of like publicity as films being brought there, because Hollywood always brings this like drama and nonsense with it. But like the cyber center, that's industry, right? But it's not high profile. And so I remember being there growing up, and there was a vote to have a referendum built. And it would be like a place that big artists could come and play concerts. Because in Augusta, if you want to see your favorite artist in concert, you have to drive 2 hours to Atlanta to see Usher, Alicia Keys, Coldplay, yada, yada, yada. There was a vote for a referendum to be moved there so that big artists could come, and be stopped on their tour. And that was voted down.
Oh, boo. Right?
No, but yes, boo. For me at the time, I was like, oh, this place will always be like we didn't have a Chipotle, if that makes any sense. You're laughing, but I'm serious. Like that, there was no Chipotle, right? So it's the kind of place that it's very tricky. It's interesting because it lives in a world of juxtaposition. On one hand, there's the Masters, but on the other hand, you vote no in a referendum. So it's a very specific place. But I love how small it was without being too small, because I was able to sense there was more and want more. Aside from the fact that my parents, we didn't go on a lot of flights, but they would whip that. We would get in that 8 hours to go to DC, or that 8 hours to go to New Orleans. They would still keep us well traveled, but I knew there was more, but it was small enough for me not to want to stay and not go after, what I needed to go after, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, because, my experience of prior to moving to Los Angeles, I grew up in Roanoke, Texas, which in the previous podcast prior to yours, I had the privilege of interviewing a childhood friend of mine. We went to middle school together and high school together. And so Rachel, shout out Rachel. And, we touched on how, like both her and I, we moved away to metropolitan areas. And so, but how there's similarities, and knowing that that Roanoke / Trophy Club where she grew up, those places grounded us in a way, right? Because you mentioned knowing that there's more out there than our city. And so at the same time, it roots us and humbles us in a way that makes us appreciate the humble beginnings, the humble roots, right? Of who we are. And so I thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
Now talk to us, Mignon, about, you came out to Los Angeles, you went to school here in LA, and and you did some PA work here and there. So what led you to eventually starting your documentary, your short film, or not documentary, excuse me, your short film, 42 Seconds in 2018? I want to hear about that journey. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, sure. I can't drink. I'm like, oh.
It happens to the best of us. Yeah.
I graduated from Pepperdine. Pepperdine's film program at the time was not very old. So we didn't have, the same perks / advantages of someone who graduated from UCLA or USC.
Sure.
To like go and get an internship at, Disney or NBC. There were some connections or ties, but just not enough for all of us to be able to go and kind of do that sort of thing. But I got a day job as an AmeriCorps Vista, which that was honestly one of the, the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. That job taught me so much about inequality, because I knew about stuff from school and like history and like specifically college. College is where you really learn the nitty gritty about America's social structure. But working in downtown LA, South LA, and serving the underserved communities and like living in that kind of struggle, because when you're in AmeriCorps Vista, they purposely pay you at, whatever the poverty level is for the area you work in.
Right.
So and the people you're serving. So I did that, and then that transitioned into a full-time job with one of the schools. Then I got fired, which was one of the best things that ever happened to me. Mm-hmm. And met a woman at a church event. She's like, you seem like, she's like, I don't know, I'll help you with your resume. So she helped me with my resume. And then a couple months later, she's like, you want to come assist me? She's like, you seem smart and like smart enough to deal with me. And so, because she's Mensa smart. And so that can make you very impatient. So she knew that she needed someone smart to work for her.
Right.
So she was like, yeah, you. And so I assisted her on a Produced By conference, kicked ass there.
Yes.
So then a couple months later, she's like, hey, you want to come work with me on Dancing with the Stars? And I did that a few seasons. Got fired there too. Not fired, but let go. Because they were like, we're actually going to... I was doing so many people's jobs that they saw one person was doing all these different jobs. So for the season that they let me go, they were like, we're going to hire a writer, because I was writing, creating content, but then also creating props. I was doing stuff technically I shouldn't have been doing. Up until the point that like my title was changed past PA to production coordinator. And then I was like, well, I do a little bit more than that. And then the director told me, he was like, put coordinating producer on your resume and anyone could call me and I would verify that you were coordinating, coordinating producers. So did that transition. And then I moved back to Atlanta because I was really just asking God, what do I do now? I had applied for a film independent, incubator, and I got, I wasn't accepted in. And so, but this is the crucial part. I worked again for the Produced By conference, this time not working for the woman who brought me on. I actually did her job because she couldn't do it. And so she referred me. So I was doing that job. And so on one of my breaks, I went to go see a talk that was being moderated by Ava DuVernay. Well, the talk moderating was with Tyler Perry.
Okay.
So that's rewind 6 months from being let go from dancing, and that talk, and I just remember him talking. It was just something happening in my gut. There was something happening in my spirit. It was like, this man is talking to me. Wow. And the message for me at the time was Atlanta. Like, he was just saying, y'all, I'm telling you. I mean, Atlanta was booming at that point, but not what it is now. And he was like, trust me. He says, I just bought Fort McPherson. Now, this is the same place that I shoot my television show now. He was like, I just bought Fort McPherson. So I'm just letting y'all know. Like, Atlanta's. So there was that. And then I was just there and I was listening and I just felt things stirring in my spirit. So fast forward 6 months later, it's like, okay. I was like asking God what to do. And he was like, my spirit was saying Atlanta. So I moved to Atlanta. Was trying to get production jobs again because I was like, I've been in LA. I've been with the big boys. Like, I've been a PA with the big boys, and I couldn't get work as easily. Like, I was just struggling. And but dancing had me. They called me and were like, hey, can you story assist when we're in Atlanta? And I was like, yeah, I can do that. And so I worked with Turner Broadcasting as a runner. That wasn't even technically a PA job. That's like beneath a PA. Like, a runner literally just runs. All her job was to run around, bring people food. But it paid well. So, and it was totally beneath my experience, but I was like, whatever, it's at Turner Broadcasting. So I did that. And then I finally was like, okay, I'm going to make my short film. And because the idea had came to me while I was in LA. And so I was like, I'm going to crowdfund this baby. I'm going to make it. And then, after producing it, getting it edited, I entered it into some festivals, and it got into the Women in Film and Television in a short film showcase, and we won Best Director. So,
yes.
A few months after that, back to LA. And then that's where the struggle really began.
I remember.
Yeah, you remember, yeah, because I slept on your couch.
Girl, you were the best third roommate. We appreciate you so much.
I appreciated you. Trust me. I think I might have appreciated you a little bit more. You gave me shelter.
No, but like, talk to us. So after you produced and wrote and entered, into this film festival, right? And got accolades for your 42 seconds short film. Well, the short film is called 42 seconds. It doesn't last 42 seconds. Am I correct?
Right.
Just want to make sure, audience members, check out Mignon's 42 seconds. Okay. All right. So back to this now. So you did your thing. You entered into the festival and got accolades. So what brought you back to LA? Was it that tug still of like, okay, perhaps I can make it big in LA again? Or like, what's the thought process there?
I was just hitting a standstill in Atlanta. Like, I was trying to get an agent in Atlanta, and I was just like, I've always known, like, I mean, because this is the thing too, like, I was trying to get production work, and then God was like, you know why you're here? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, all right, write your stories. I gave you stories, and so I was like, oh, okay, do it. So I did my short film, and then I was trying to get, representation. I was submitting myself. I was like, I need representation, da, da, da. And I couldn't get, Atlanta reps. I was, it just wasn't really happening. And so I remember taking a class at the Alliance Theater. It's like the really big theater here in Atlanta. Beautiful theater. And I remember taking a class, and a woman who'd been teaching it forever, she was like, kid, you got it. She was like, I helped this one kid get a job on a major NBC show. And she was like, I know you got the juice. And I was like, I thought so. And so she was like, yeah. And so she invited me to be in her showcase class, which was huge for me. And again, where God is like aligning my steps. Raven Drummer, the head casting director at Tyler Perry Studios, was supposed to be one of the special guests for the showcase. And she agreed, but something happened where she had to be out of the country. So she didn't come. She didn't see me then. That was 2018, but she ended up, when I think about it, it was only a year later that she did end up seeing me. So, um, yeah, but her casting assistant came, and I thought that was going to be it. Like, because one person was the director of the Alliance Theaters uh, programming, and then she was supposed to be the other special guest, and it might have been one other person, but yeah. And so I was like, this is shit. And then so I was like, okay, I have to make something shake. And then stuff was just becoming more and more restless at home and unstable at home. Because I was doing the millennial thing, returning to the nest, and that birds don't return to the nest, guys. But so yeah, just some pivotal things happened, and then I got the award for best director, and it was like, yeah, I'm going back to LA because I'm not getting an agent out here. So I'm going back to LA. I can make it there. Mm-hmm. And so did not get representation in LA either. Ended up going right back to Atlanta, but getting the part in Atlanta without representation. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Mignon, that's incredible. What I am hearing, without you saying this word, I hear gratitude. I hear how you're able to create connections.
Yeah.
And find those connection points and really see like a map of your journey, even though in the midst of it, you may not have seen it, but to have the ability to connect the dots and see the map of God's fingerprints of grace, I'll call it that, or your gratitude. Yeah. I think that's beautiful, my friend. Thank you for sharing that. Wow.
Are everywhere. And he's so funny because, like, on one hand, like, there's the scripture where Paul is just like, God is near to each one of us. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, God sometimes feels like an elusive muse. You know what I mean? Like, almost like one of those Greek, like, woodland nymphs that's like, you hear them and they're like doing things to call you deeper into the forest, but you can't, like, they don't come out. And so he's really funny that way, and his fingerprints were just all over it. But I remember at Pepperdine we took a test called Strengths Quest.
Yeah.
And one of my is connectedness. And
me too, by the way.
Yeah. So I look back and I'm able to definitely like, oh, I'll Tyler Perry there. And then that day, and 6 months later, and then Ray was also come, she didn't come, and her assistant, but it's only a year later. Like, totally. Yeah. God it's hard to deny it for me, especially if you can see it. Some people might not have that foundation to be able to connect the dots, but I do, right? You and I both grew up COC, so that's just...
COC, y'all, stands for the Church of Christ.
Yeah. What up? So it shouts out. It's really hard for me to deny how he has ordered my steps. Yeah.
Well, praise. Thank you for sharing that. That's just so powerful. And even for audience members who may not believe, again, we're not here to like proselytize by any means, but I just love the practice.
But if you want,
but I might just a little bit. God is good, y'all. But like, really, in all honesty, I just hear gratitude, which is very hot right now, right? Like, there's studies that show, how gratitude not only improves our mood and such, but really improves our mindfulness and our health all over, right? And so I think it's just so cool that you are able to express gratitude in a way where it ties you to different points in your life and seeing those connections. And so now, you mentioned, right, you're in the now. You are, you have your show Sistas on BET, and amazing things are happening for you. But talk to us about times where you face rejections and obstacles from things like auditions or not getting an agent or representation, or different obstacles as you enter into this industry. How did you face those moments, and how did you build your resilience to combat the negativity and the rejections that you faced through this career?
Well, I've faced obstacles my whole life. I am not one of those people who has ever been very familiar with ease until now. And that's only because I'm choosing ease, right? There's a psalm where David says, "You have made my hands to war." And that really resonates with me, because I've been a fighter my whole life. It's funny, like, I've never been a bully. I have teased people because of my pain, and I didn't realize it was coming from my pain, and I didn't realize that it was cruel. But that's another subject. But my point is, I've never been Goliath, right? I've always been David. And I'm really just understanding, there's a scripture that also says the Old Testament's for our learning. And you look at what archetype you kind of fall into. Are you a Moses reluctant hero? Are you a Joseph kind of, we're always a golden boy, but then all of a sudden you face these trials? Or are you David, where you got to encourage yourself because you go to bring your brothers food and they're like, go home. You just want to look at the battle. You're being nosy. And then you turn out to be the one to slay the giant. And then even after that, you still face adversity. Like, it's like, I just killed a giant. Like, like you killing Philistines and people are still, like bad mouthing you or denying you or overlooking you. So I've always had a certain level of adversity and challenge. Like I was telling you, before, like I was in Atlanta trying to find reps. And even after I've been on Sistas, finding representation has not been easy. I've dealt with bullies at all levels. I just finished dealing with an agent that was a bully. Like we weren't together very long, and I just was trying to have a dialogue about my career and what I wanted from them. And the minute there was pushback, he was like, I don't know if we work. And I was like, maybe you're right. I was like, you're a bully. You can't have a conversation. So one thing I've always done with bullies is stand up for myself. Even when I was in kindergarten, a kid who was held back was cutting me in line. I was like, no, I'm not going to stand for it. I got beat up. Only time I got beat up, but it didn't stop me. Even while he was pushing me down, I was like getting back up, wheezing, crying, like, you will not cut me in line. So that's just kind of always been my baseline. It's no longer serves me though, because it came from the limiting belief that it's me against the world. It's me. I have to fight for me because no one else will. And painful events did, in fact, validate that belief. But now, if I want to break that cycle, I kind of have to shift that understanding to the one that actually God has always been fighting for me. And that's what God has kind of done recently, is show me, like, yes, you faced a lot of adversity and a lot of rejection, and you have been counted out, and you have been overlooked, you have been underestimated, you are disrespected. People still don't get it, even now that you got to show without representation, without any major credits. People are still not putting respect on your name. And this is probably the realest conversation I'm having right now. I can't believe I'm saying all this, but it's just the truth. Like, even now, I deal with disrespect, right? So, but I've had to shift that to ease, where I'm finally understanding ease. And there's a pose in yoga called Peaceful Warrior.
Yes, I love Peaceful Warrior.
Yes, and then there's Humble Warrior. So it's me kind of reconciling. I'm a warrior, but I'm a peaceful warrior. Warrior, but I'm a humble warrior. Yes, God has made my hands to war. So if I'm a humble warrior, what am I fighting for? If I'm a peaceful warrior, what am I fighting for, right? Because the war, like, use words like war, we conjure up blood and guts and swords. But if you're a peaceful warrior, what do you fight for? And so that's really where God is shifting my mind now. And that's kind of how I'm dealing with adversity now. And that's how I'm kind of reframing my past, where all of that was very useful. I'm not afraid to fight, right? Some of us have to learn to fight. Some of us have to learn how to pick our battles. That was me. Was really figuring out how to pick my battles. And now I understand there is no fight because I've already won. Everything works out for my good. No weapon against me shall prosper. If I hear no, I honestly just hear next opportunity. Like that's what I'm really trying to drill into my head, is that no means next opportunity. Rejection is protection. Like I know and understand that I'm going to breathe, and am already breathing rare air. There are people who have been in this business as long as I've been alive, and they haven't been a series regular on TV. This is rare air that I'm already breathing. And I know that air is only going to become rarer. And I'm going to have to adjust to the altitude, right? People get altitude sickness. I'm going to have to adjust. And there's all of that. But I mean, honestly, the way I combat negativity, rejection, all of that now is just understanding that a man might reject me, but God has never rejected me. Like that verse in Isaiah 41, it's on my phone right now. It's like, I have chosen you and not rejected you. Like it's just honestly reciting God's truth. So, someone might disrespect me, but God obviously respects me. You know what I mean? Like, look what he's done in my life. I mean, I've told you all the adversity. People weren't trying to represent me. I was trying to get help, and God's like, nothing will stop you if I have it for you. And my life is evidence of that.
Wow, friend. Thank you. I'm just processing what you've just shared, because you're dropping truths, you're dropping wisdom, you are sharing with us the reframing and the beauty of struggle, right? Because struggle has been seen as this negative experience. And to talk, by the way, are you familiar with the Enneagram by any means or not?
Yeah. 8.
Okay, I think I am a 7 with an 8 wing. So for me, do you see it? Because I'm confrontational, very much so. Like I will occasionally try to practice passive aggressive, and I'm learning how to, but I'm not really. I'm just like, let's confront this, right? So there's like the 8 confrontational wing thing. For those audience members who are not familiar with the Enneagram, please look it up, and then you will better understand what we're talking about. But
understand yourself.
Say that again.
They'll better understand themselves.
That's true, and understand others and the dynamics of how others operate. In the points of stress and points of ease, right? And so when I mentioned to all of you that I think I'm a 7 with an 8 wing, and tying it with talking about struggles, 7s are known to be the enthusiast, the entertainer, right? So I have this enthusiastic persona to me, because I'm fun as hell, y'all. Like, I'm so fun. I love to have fun, and but the downside to 7s are that we try to escape from pain, run away from it. And remind me, Mignon, 8s are generally confrontational, power driven, right? But what do they run away from? Like, what's their point of stress? Where do they run to? Do you remember?
I don't think I learned that terminology that you're talking about. I just kind of have the overall gist of an 8. 8s can be, so when you're like a fully integrated 8, you're Martin Luther King. Right. When not integrated, you're a bully.
Right.
And I look at my life, I'll see negative forces wanted me to become a bully because I was bullied. You know what I mean? Because monsters aren't born, they're made, right?
Right.
But 8s can be bullies, they can be power hungry for their significance, they can be they can push They can bulldoze over people if they're in the way of what they want. It's just the flip side of being a change agent.
Right.
But I mean, you're going to be a change agent, but are you just going to be one for good, or going to be one
from bad, right? Evil.
for,
you know?
like Batman, Joker? They're the same dude. It's like a just mirror, like funhouse mirror versions of themselves.
Right. Right. And so, to tie that back to, talking about struggles and resiliency, like I just appreciate how you reframe, instead of a closed door, you say next opportunity. I think that's so healthy because oftentimes I know, like, I personally struggle with rejection and
Everyone does.
right, like we all do, right? And so for me personally, I equate it to my self-worth, like, oh, then therefore I'm not good enough, and so and I don't know if it's from my upbringing, and my family systems or my culture, like you gotta be, like where's that A, like things like that, and so it's truly I see a shift in our culture. By our culture, I mean talking about generational shifts. Like I see, us millennials and the generations younger than us, zennials, like they are, I think, gifted with more knowledge about mindfulness and the reframe of uh, because I feel like, again, to clarify, like I feel like my parents' generation, and I'm only speaking to me, and I'm sure others can relate, and I'm trying my best to not generalize to everybody, right? But like, yeah, like my parents' generation and my upbringing, like you know even though um I mean some of the things that were said to me as a child, like I internalized them myself, right? To be like, oh, therefore I equate not getting an A as not being good enough. Or
Mm-hmm.
even in the schooling system, I mean, if you think about it, right, we have report cards. Getting into colleges, we have to get certain scores on the SAT and the ACT, or certain GPA, or how many extracurricular activities, and all of these things. And so it's just fascinating how there's I feel, I don't know, feel free to disagree with me, Mignon, but like, I feel like there's a shift in acknowledging that, worth is beyond things like such, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I appreciate that. You're gonna say,
Yeah. I agree. I mean, that most recent revelation came to me um, as well. But I mean, I think I've been familiar with the concept of like not finding value in money or success, but your identity in Christ. But it still was kind of nebulous for me.
mm,
But I'm taking this course. It's to help heal and like overcome and love yourself more. And I just learned that in Eastern culture, where most wisdom books are written, when you know something, you know it at the heart level. But in Western culture, we know it up here. So for a lot of us, a lot of self-help, a lot of healing mechanisms, we understand them intellectually, but we kind of wonder why do we fall back in the same patterns? Why do I know that being grateful is how I raise my frequency, but I fall out of a gratitude practice so easily? What is it? And it's because basically you have an operating system, but you change that or you learn these things once they reach the heart level. Because some of us, it's up here, and then for some of us, it's at our neck, and you can feel it so close to where you really feel it, but it just hasn't hit your heart yet. So it kind of hit my heart recently that what my worth and my value was in, because when you understand pain, like was kind of basically what you're talking about, and how pain and wounds create value systems and beliefs, limiting beliefs, and then life triggers them, right? Someone, so it triggers the limiting belief that you're not enough, that you're not worthy. So if someone doesn't want to interview with Cultivate with Kate, it's like, oh, it's because Cultivate with Kate doesn't have enough followers and it's not big enough yet, and they don't want to talk to me. Whereas if you were to have, you change that limiting belief and you understand that I can't be rejected because the one who made me accepts me. And you just got to learn that at a heart level. Like we as Christians, like we know that we're chosen and set apart. Like we know that, but do we know it? And finally letting it get to that heart level. And like, cause I realized recently I have a deep wound, like belonging wound, and like feeling wanted. Like every human wants to feel like they belong, like they're wanted, like they're needed, that they're desired, that they're seen, that they're heard, and they're known and they're understood. Like that's a big wound. That's a need we all have. Yeah. And that for me has been an unmet need. It just has. And then finally, kind of what God got me to understand in an encounter with him was just, there's that scripture that says, I knew you. I'm kind of paraphrasing it, but there's two scriptures about how he places us in our mother's womb, but it says, I knew you before you were even in your mother's womb. I placed you there. So for me to get that need to be known outside of anything but him doesn't make sense. Now, it'll always trigger the belief that I'm not enough if that wound, if that need to be known and seen and heard is met by a person. Because even if it's my own mom and dad, because he knew me, like he placed me with those parents. He put me there. He's known and loved me the longest. He loved me before anyone else did. So you kind of, if you can go and get that need for those basic, honestly, God-sized needs that we try to fill with social media likes and love and sex and food and money and fame and success, it's a God-sized hole, so it'll never be filled by anything but him. But we got to kind of get that intimacy with him to understand that. And so just understanding, like I deal with rejection all the time. Like I just said, I deal with disrespect. I deal with it all the time because even though I'm on a TV show, I'm still an unknown face, right? So I'm not a household name. People still like, who? Like it's not to people who aren't in the industry, oh, you made it. It's like in the industry, it's really just kind of, it's like playing, you're the captain at your high school on your football team, but then you go to college, you're in a new division now, right? So you have to really get that foundation, that identity. At least for me, I'm really, really grateful that I carried those wounds for as long as I did. And then God finally woke me up and was like, no, you didn't feel like you belonged, even in your own family.
Wow.
But I designed it that way so that need would never be met by other people. And it was lonely and it was hard and it's lonely and it's hard. But you kind of skip past trying to please everyone else and come straight to finally understanding that, your home is with me, you belong with me. Like you're never rejected if you're with me. Like you're never not seen when it's me, Wow. I rambled there, but
no. Relevant, on point, purposeful, what you just shared. Wow. My friend. Thank you. Because you touched on the word, I don't know if I was the first one who said wounds. I think you might have been in this conversation talking about traumas and wounds and scars that we all carry, right? We all have those things. And, some scars, some wounds are much deeper than others. And I want to, lift those up because life is hard and those wounds are deep. AF, they are deep, they're painful, right? And so and not to negate from those wounds at all, because I feel like there's an aspect of, I will say, I'm going to say this again. Feel free to fight me on this, Mignon, or others. But, I feel like in American culture, which is predominantly evangelical Protestant Christianity, where it's almost like we don't do a good job of acknowledging pain, but it's more like, oh, like, it's okay, we're gonna be all fine, right? And like, oh, trust in God, that kind of thing, which is beautiful. But sometimes to me, like, it's a turnoff, as me myself as a Christian, right? Like, as because I feel like the opposite spectrum of that is not acknowledging the pain and the suffering that people go through every single day, carrying their wounds, and you have the, I'm gonna say this, like, and I may offend some listeners, but like, the health and wealth gospel, which I do not subscribe to, because I mean, I think health and wealth is wonderful, absolutely, and I acknowledge that those are good things to pursue, but it's not the
ultimate.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my thought.
Yeah. I mean, I concur. I had $12 in my bank account one day, and then the next day my checks started rolling in, and then a month after all my checks were in from season 1, I was like, so money's not going to fix it. Like, I'm glad. I was like, well, God, I'm glad I learned that in a month, and not like after years of, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't have to. I mean, that's not really why I was trying to get on TV, but I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. Like, I definitely thought, like, things are gonna be like, soon as I get on TV, like, soon as I get this job. Like, I thought, I was like, this job, people will be crazy not to want to represent me. What are you, nuts? I did this without an agent. Imagine what we do together. You'd be surprised by how short-sighted people are. Like, I assumed because this is an artistic industry, more people would have vision and be like, wait, she did that without this? Imagine what we do together. Like, that was literally my thought process. No. On the contrary, a lot of people aren't artists. They actually help artists, make their dreams or get their dreams out to the rest of the world. But
right.
I agree with that completely. It's just, it's simple, but it's not easy. Or is it easy, but it's not simple? I don't know. It's just getting that realization, because we live in a world that's trying to constantly inundate you with the notion that this car is going to make all the women want you. That hairstyle is going to have everyone think you're the prettiest. Like, we live in a world that's constantly telling you you're not enough. So, yeah, like, it's going to take a minute for some people to figure that out. Or all of us to figure it out, unless, I don't know, you live in some commune somewhere. I don't know.
I know. That is my ultimate dream. Not gonna lie, I would love to live in a commune. I would love to have like a communal garden. I would love to have dance parties once a day, like, with my commune peeps. Like, that would be my dream. Just saying, audience, and like, that is my dream.
Oh my gosh,
it'd be amazing.
I don't want a commune. I want to just live in the mountains by myself.
Are you more of a mountain person than you are water?
Oh, well, see, that's the thing. I want both. I want enough land that has its own water supply, and I want to have views of the mountains. I love, like, look at my background. Like, I love that, but there's something about the beach for me. I love the beach, but for me, it's a vacation. Mountains, that can be like my everyday life, like rolling, like pulling up my blinds and like drinking a hot, cozy beverage and just looking at high altitudes,
Yeah, I didn't know that about you. That's neat.
Yeah, because I mean, if you look at the beach, there's that horizon. After a while, it's just this horizon, like the ocean is just goes on, and like that's kind of it. But with mountains, it's like, it just implies a certain level of hope for me. The ocean, with that horizon going out like that, it implies a certain level of peace and stillness. But I guess with mountains, it's just like, I don't know, ascension, altitude,
I
all
like
the
very much in theme with cultivation and growth
yeah,
and seeing hope and going through peaks and valleys, y'all. I mean, story of our lives, right?
yeah.
So, yeah, you and David, my fiance, have that in common. He's originally from Colorado, and so we appreciate mountains and different scenes and such. And so, that's cool. I think it would be a dream to. I mean, I love like I agree with you with what you said, the beach and the ocean and such. I love that. I'm a water girl all the way. My father's side of the family grew up on the Gulf of Thailand. And
Hmm.
so, I familiarize. I feel like it's in my genes. Like,
Yeah.
my dad's dad was a Chinese fisherman, and so like water and I love to swim. I love just the ocean life, the any water life that's clean
Mhm.
water. Yes, I'm all about. And so I could see myself in the future, like being at a place where it's surrounded by mountains and there's a lake. Like that would be a dream. And so, yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that vision for us. Now, share with us your current projects. What do you have going on right now? I know we mentioned that you are starring in Tyler Perry's Sistas on BET. And so, by the way, side notes, confession is I've confessed this to you before, but I have no TV. And so unfortunately don't have the privilege of watching your show and have not seen it before. But if you can describe to the audience, what is Sistas about and what are some other projects that you're working on?
You don't have a TV? Like what? Like what do you? Oh, you use like your laptop.
I use my laptop, number one, and then I do Netflix and stuff, and maybe like Hulu, but I
Yeah.
don't have live cable. No, and so I know that with BET, like to watch you guys' show, like we would have to have like a subscription to.
You can watch BT on the BT app if you're trying to catch up. If you want to
Wait,
catch up,
okay, hold on. I can watch it on the BET, but is it free?
yes, you can catch up on the
Okay,
BT.
I
But
will.
it's on the finale. I don't know when you're going to air this, when you're going to post this interview, but the finale is coming Wednesday of season 2. So, uh,
Whoa!
yeah, so that's coming. But yeah, I Sisters is about 4 women out here. Basically, what we're talking about, kind of navigating life, trying to find love. Right now, these women aren't the most integrated with being whole and complete. They're on that path though, and my character is Danni. She's rambunctious and vivacious and loud and funny and pretty over the top, but she's fiercely loyal. She's so kind and caring. She wants everyone to win. Um, and she's motivated by love. She wants love. She's living sorely beneath her potential, but she's trying to figure it out. She medicates herself
Okay.
to kind of, let it kind of make it through that tension day to day. And, she's navigating a new relationship, but it hasn't been defined. It's really weird. What she's kind of dealing with in that arena, but it's full of drama. It's an hour-long dramedy. There's a lot of drama, but there's also a really good
A
amount of comedy.
dramedy. Love.
Yeah, my
Okay.
character is definitely comedic relief. So yeah, tune in. But current projects, I'm trying to find the right next project for me. It hasn't really come across my desk as of yet. But I'm looking for the next thing that really just excites me. But part of that is me. Honestly, I'm working on my own content right now. I've kind of alluded to. We've talked about my writing and directing. So right now I'm writing a couple features. One of them I'm so excited about because I would have never guessed it, 15 years ago. But I'm writing some really exciting features, and don't hold your breath too long. I mean, don't hold your breath too long, or you won't have to hold your breath too long before everyone gets a chance to see those.
Oh, that's exciting, my friend. I'm just so excited for you and
Thank
your journey. So, this is Sistas is a Tyler Perry produced show, and so can you share with us what has it been like to work with Mr. Tyler Perry?
Fun, phenomenal, stressful, inspiring, fast, so fast. We shoot an entire season of television in 3 weeks.
Wait, say that one more time, please. What?
We shoot an entire season, 22 episodes, hour-long dramedy episodes in 3 weeks.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah,
like, like 3-4 months or something.
No, other TV shows take 3 or 4 months to do like 10 to 12 episodes. We take 3 weeks to do 22.
Wow. How are people able to sustain their energy and because it sounds very efficient, right? The short period of time filming, but like how is everyone able to maintain their energy and produce their best work in such a short amount of time? What are the
like a lot of the guys, they're like workoutaholics. Some people medicate. For me, it's a composite of things. I have to eat right. I cannot just eat a bunch of like junk. I have to sleep. Some of my co-stars, they'll like learn their lines through the night. I'll be trash. I have to sleep. Because I also have to take allergy medicine that makes me drowsy. So I have to work out too. Even if I can just get 10 minutes in before I go to set, I try to do at least 20 minutes before I go to set. I make sure I drink a lot of water because the stress can definitely give you cotton mouth, and I definitely am a person who will get cotton mouth.
Same.
So I make sure I eat right, I sleep right, I take care of my body, and then also my spiritual practice. Season 1, I noticed that that got away from me, and that I kind of, if I'm being honest, really candid, like I kind of went into a depression towards the fall of that year that the show first aired, because like I had all these expectations that things would get easier. It's so funny because it hurts. It didn't. But things got easier just because you have more options, because you have money. Money gives you options. It does not give you happiness or ease, but it gives you options.
Sure.
So so just taking care of myself is really my spiritual practice is number one. I will meditate before I worry about doing like a push-up or a crunch.
Wow. Do you meditate on your own, or do you have like an app or a particular like guided meditation?
Depends.
Okay.
Some days I kind of feel like, what am I feeling? Yeah. Feeling like I've gotten kind of out of it and I'm in a rut, I'll do some guided meditations. If I'm feeling pretty decent, I'll do my own meditation. My favorite time to meditate is after a workout, because just where your body is and like you're thinking how you kind of, even if you did yoga, it's just you get into your body, and then when you meditate, you can get into your body and kind of, align everything.
Right.
But most of the time I just find like meditation music and play that, and close my eyes, focus on my breathing first, get my breathing, get grounded, and then do my affirmations. I do my affirmations in my meditation. I think separate affirmations and meditation. I'm like, why not at the same time?
Yeah, efficiency, but also I feel like affirmations are a practice of gratitudes and mindfulness, and part of the meditation umbrella. And so I think it's really neat that you said that you do meditations after your workout. I can see that being like the pinnacle mindfulness like mountain, right? Because like you have your endorphins kicking in, and then like your body's cooling down, and so like the physiological aspects of you at that state, I'm sure it's like bliss, huh?
Yeah.
I've never
Yeah.
tried that. I would love to. Now that you say this, I want to give this a try for myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think aren't you an O blood type?
No, I am A positive. Woohoo!
Oh, okay. So you're the vegetarian.
Yeah.
I thought you would.
Well,
Are you?
so
I feel like you're endomorph.
what is that?
Well, another day. Another
Okay.
day.
Okay. I did read bits and pieces of like eat right for your blood type, and I'll be honest with you, I sort of love it, and I try to eat plant based and such, as someone who has A positive blood. But sometimes I love me some meat. I confess, certain
Do
meats
it.
like can do well with my body, but certain meats I can tell like not made for me. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I because I think the A positive, what the book suggests for A positive people is to do light exercises, which I don't mind, but then like you know me, Mignon, like, and others who don't know me, I'm a fairly intense person, and I need that intense workout as well, and I think the book says, like focus on yoga and light walking and stuff for A blood types. I'm like, sure, but I want me some,
Right.
like weightlifting and like CrossFit and anyway. So, yeah, but I thank you for sharing your self-care tips and relating that to, how you're able to be at your best self in order to function to the highest frequency. So I think that's really cool. And whoa, you just like shattered the glass for me and filming in like less than a month. Like, wow. Okay. This thing's serious. It is serious.
Never been a game.
Say what?
I said it's not a game. Never been a game.
Does not sound like a game at all. But it sounds like, you are pursuing your passions. And for that, I'm so happy for you, friend. Oh my goodness. Amazing. Okay, so now it is time to transition to speed round questions. So I'm going to throw in some, speed round questions and just ask you random questions. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, so what is your song right now? If you have to name a song, what is like the theme, a song that is the theme of your current life right now?
Oh, the theme of my current life right now.
Okay, let me reframe. It can be theme of your current life, or it can be just like, a song that you really jive to right now that you're like, yeah, I'm going to listen to this song right now.
Depends. There's like a couple.
You can name couple. I'll give you songs. So what
One,
songs?
I just love Lost in the Wild by Walk the Moon.
Okay.
Like loving that song. And then like Go Your Own Way by Fleetwood Mac recently is just like
Yes.
bumping. And then like, I don't know, Freedom by Beyonce, like, and Kendrick Lamar, like that song just, like all these different songs connect to different parts of me. And then the other one, is EXO. So like EXO is like my romantic side, I guess. And Freedom is just that fighter I've talked about and how I'm going to win and get everything God has for me. Lost in the Wild is also, whimsical, like kiddish side and Go Your Own Ways. That's just my nature. I've always gone my own way.
Yes.
No
Yes. No, I appreciate that so much. I remember, sorry, real quick, and then we'll come back to the speed rounds. I remember going to karaoke with you and our friend Erin. Remember? Like we went, it was somewhere in LA.
Yes.
And I think
yes, Erin.
We love her. We love our friend Erin. But I remember a lady who was there. She was singing My Way. Do you remember her rendition of My Way, Sinatra?
My Way, like Frank Sinatra, My Way.
Correct. No, what you said about like Beyonce's free, or you can go your own way, or not Beyonce, Fleetwood Mac's You Can Go Your Own Way. It just reminded me of the time when we went karaokeing and seeing that lady declaring her freedom through singing My Way, but she adds expletives to it. You know, like my mother effing way. You remember that? You remember that lady?
I don't remember that.
Okay. No, she was definitely, she had some drinks in her, but I just was like, you go, queen. Like, she's probably in her 60s or something, but like, she's, you know, made that declaration. Anyway, I've digressed us. Let's go back to our speed rounds. So, okay, so thank you for sharing your songs. You know, you mentioned food earlier, right? Like nourishing yourself. Like, what are your go-to foods?
Plants. I typically leafy green vegetables because right now I'm healing so much in my life, emotionally, spiritually, but physically I am healing leaky gut, and so a lot of leafy green vegetables. But I'm typically a Whole Foods girl. Like I don't mean necessarily the grocery store. I when I'm vegan, I don't buy like burgers, like Beyond Burgers. I've had one before, but when I'm plant based, it's like a plant. You can look at it and you can identify what plant it. I'm feeling more seafood than meats right now. You know, I do love meat. I thought about Korean barbecue when we were talking a little bit earlier. But yeah, typically, you know, plant based stuff. Yeah, I like salads, but usually salads are huge and have tons of ingredients.
Good for you. Get them antioxidants and, you know, all the fiber. Like, get fiber fueled.
I need to get the bad things out. But when I'm junky, it's like chocolate.
Dark or milk or all of the above?
Consider dark chocolate junk as long as it's not loaded with sugar and it really is pure dark chocolate and doesn't have a ton of other additives. But I'm talking like junky. I mean like a chocolate chip cookie. I mean like Oreos or like white chocolate or like a Snickers. You know, when the cravings hit, that sort of thing. So like I'm gluten-free brownies after this because I'm that craving part of the month.
Hey, you know what? Celebrate that. Yes, we celebrate the cycles of life. That's
absolutely.
Now, favorite movie right now?
Favorite movie right now? Mm-hmm. I just recently did something I was very proud of myself for, and I bought Rush Hour 2 Apple TV or my Apple. What's the Apple thing? There's Apple TV and there's Apple. Is it Apple TV? I bought it, and it was one of my favorite things I've done for myself recently because I laughed so hard, really, really, really hard, and it was just like I just remember just being like, this movie still holds up. It holds up, like it's so funny. Like I'm
so glad that you mentioned that because I love Rush Hour and Rush Hour 2. Not the third one, sadly, but 1 and 2, like definitely like classic.
I like 2 better than 1 because I feel like 2 is like a non-stop joke. Like it's just, but they're still telling the story because you know some stuff can be like punchline. Like okay, we gotta get back to the story, but like the punchlines are interwoven with the story. Like it's Rush Hour 2 is a well-made film. Well made.
Yes, and we stand Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan. Shout out to you two men. Legend. Yes, legend and representation of our people. Like so we're like Jackie. We're like Rush Hour 1 and 2 and 3, Mignon.
Oh my gosh! Yes, we could do a lady Rush Hour. Yay!
What if we do like a remake of, you know? Anyway, I need to learn martial arts and like get in shape and crap. So
I'm starting kung fu classes.
Oh, good for you! That's amazing. That's amazing. I would like to do that. Did you say Tai Chi?
Tai Chi, because I want to harness my chi.
Yes. Get that energy centered. Yeah. Yes, for sure. You know, my blood is mostly Chinese, according to 23andMe. Shout out. But then, you know, like I'm culturally Thai. I grew up in Thailand, and so I have taken a few Muay Thai classes. But one of my goals, and once the pandemic is more under control and hopefully becomes no more, I want to get back into Thai boxing classes and take Muay Thai seriously.
Yeah.
Okay, last question of the speed round, and that is, and again, I don't know if you've cheated and listened to my other podcasts, so I'm going to ask, have you listened to all of them in its entirety? Because it's okay if you haven't.
No.
Okay, no. Thank you. No, this is perfect then. So I can ask this question. Okay, now to preface, this question has no, there are no rules. Okay, you make up, you use your creativity, you use your problem solving to be able to answer this question.
Oh gosh.
Okay. So say you're a piece of Lego stuck in a blender. How?
I'm a Lego?
Correct. You're the Lego. How would you get yourself out of that blender?
Like I'm an animated Lego movie?
You know what? No, there are no rules. Remember? There are no rules. Use your creativity.
If I'm gonna get out of the blender and I'm a Lego, I would jam the blender until whoever my human was, investigated what was wrong with the blender, and then they would take me out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. That is creative. Way to problem solve and way to collaborate with humankind and requesting help and we're all dependent of one another. The human needs to use the blender, for food and nourishment. So good for you. Okay. Well, thank you for playing that speed round question. Even though it took longer because I digressed a lot. So I thank you for your patience. And so what is introduced to the audience? So right now, Mignon is holding up her puppy. What is your puppy's name?
His name is Paz.
P-A-Z as in zebra?
Yes.
Yes, for peace, right? In Latin, is that right?
Yeah, in Spanish, probably Latin too, but yeah, definitely in Spanish. I know that for sure.
Latin root language. Yeah. I think Latin is Pax, P-A-X.
Oh, it is P-A-X, I think.
And then Paz is Espanol, and Italian is Pace, right? P-A-C, Pace, yeah. Oh, Italiano. Mi piace.
We both went to school, not the same year, because but yeah.
Yeah, both of us studied abroad in the Florence, Italy program. So shout out to Italy and Florence. And so
Yale Milton, what up?
Yes, shout out. Now, one last bit, and then we will end this podcast. And that is, I know you've dropped a lot of wisdom and truth with us. Any last words or advice that you want to share with our audience today, whether they're going to enter into the industry or pursue something that is their passion, or trying to overcome their depression, anxiety, whatever. I know this is very loaded, but whatever advice you feel like giving, we would love to hear them.
Seek wisdom. Wisdom is not elusive. She is all around us, and she will willingly make herself manifest to each of us, and in the way we learn. Some of us have to learn wisdom through making mistakes. Some of us have to learn wisdom through observation. Some of us learn wisdom, just seek wisdom. If you are depressed or anxious, just understand that I believe all mental illness is rooted in fear. Because there's a scripture that says that God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and sound mind. So basically, a fearful mind isn't a sound mind. So a mind that is not sound is dealing with some type of fear. So if you're anxious, you're afraid of the future. If you're depressed, you're afraid that things will never change. If you're delusional, you're afraid of dealing with reality. So just understand that love will cast out all fear, and that, fear is torment. And depression is tormenting. Anxiety is tormenting. So just understand that a perfect love will cast out all that fear. So just seek love, seek wisdom, wherever you are. But just ask for a sign. Ask for, I don't know if you believe in God or not, but I mean, I don't think it would hurt to just ask the universe, or if you're not afraid, or if you believe enough to at least talk to God. If you don't believe in there's a God yet, ask the universe to give you signs. And then, because God governs the universe and he's near to each and every one of us, and he will make himself very real to you if that's what you desire. So I just seek, you will find. And that, I think that anyone can start there, wherever you are, whatever stage you're in. I can't be practical because it's too broad, but yeah.
Well, we appreciate you today, Mignon, for joining us in conversation on Cultivate with Kate. As always, my friend, it is so good to see you. Thank you for your time, your energy, your wisdom, your truth, and most importantly to me, your vulnerability. Thank you for sharing your strength and being vulnerable with us today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was fun.
Well, it's good to see you, and thank you, audience, for listening today on Cultivate with Kate. I hope that your day is filled with blessings.